I'll just be running towards the drum kit. My mum's like, yo, it's time to go home. What are you doing here? Dragging me. I'm like, no, let me go back.
I remember actually seeing a video, Billie Eilish.
Which video?
And her brother. So it wasn't of you.
You've done your research.
I actually did see like a picture of you drumming there, and I was like,
it wasn't me.
Hi, my name is Daniella Ekundayo. I am the founder of In the Writer's Mind and your host of The Stars Behind the Stars. This is the series that will give you an encyclopedia into music and fashion, whether you've been studying Law Roach and how he turns Zendaya into a fashion superstar, or you're just keen to find out who is managing your favorite artists. You will hear insider stories from the visionaries building the brand of the stars you see in the spotlight today. Today, I am joined with Eddie Frimpong, a tour director, a production manager, who has organised, curated and produced tours for some of the biggest stars in the world, including Nux, Flowerovlove, Danayo, Gabsy, the composers. I'm even running out of breath trying to get all the names in. Eddie, I am so honoured and inspired to be sitting with you here today.
Thank you.
And I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. I'm actually quite jealous because I know you were in South Africa recently. Can you tell me a bit about that experience and what that was like and what song was on rotation for you?
South Africa, I think by far like one of the best places I've been to ever. I think just the scenery alone, because obviously we're coming from Nigeria first. Came from Nigeria, went to Ghana, then we ended in South Africa. The sun was just out, the people, it's good vibes, everyone was just on a high. In terms of songs though, Abantu, Mary Marong, I might be saying this wrong, but it's when you hear it slaps, you'll start dancing. It's one of them type of vibes.
So you obviously work with Odeal as well, and Odeal is having such an incredible career trajectory. Especially in 2024, he was just on the rise. Every time I open Instagram or TikTok, his music is literally there. He's trending. Even the Summer Walker collab as well, like he's doing really great. And obviously, I saw the picture of, him with Kaytranada and you with him and Kaytranada. What is it like working with him as an artist? And also, I have to ask, Can you give us any clues about that looming or pending collaboration too?
You have to see. But in terms of working with amazing person. Really just focused, he knows what he wants. Musically, I'm a fan of his music anyway, so before I even met him, I was listening to his music, so to get to work with him and just tour the world with him has been a blessing too. It's gonna be an exciting year for him, for real.
And obviously you've traveled around the world. Is there a city or country that has left like a profound impact on you or that you feel really connected to?
I mean, other than Ghana, that's where I'm from, I'll say Jamaica. Jamaica's like as close to home as possible, so it's like I said, the people and the vibes in South Africa, when you go home to Ghana or even Jamaica, it's the same. Those two countries just makes me feel at home.
People see tour managers and artist managers as people who are like always on the go. How do you maintain or prioritize your mental health and also like keep in contact with your loved ones too?
That's a very important question. It's always important to just have some downtime. I know it seems like we're always on the go, like 1 minute we're traveling here, like I told you, 1 minute we're in Ghana, then we're in Nigeria, then we're in South Africa, then we're going to New York. It's always back to back, but when there is time to just take a step back and just lock yourself in a room, listen to some gospel music, meditate, reach out to your loved ones, FaceTime, text, call, it's very important because that takes you back to reality as to, yes, this is happening now, but the real life is actually happening back home where you're not. So it's always good to have that moment or space to yourself. You don't always have to go to, let's say after the show, there might be an after party or there might be a studio session. You don't have to be there. So those times where you can have time for yourself, just spend time with yourself. Or even like South Africa, every morning I went for a jog, I went for a run. So that was my time to meditate. I'll have my headphones in, listen to some gospel music and just take in the scenes.
You've traveled across the world. You've been in the rooms with everyone from Kaytranada to Stevie Wonder. But I wanted to take it back to the beginning and your first interactions with music. Can you talk with me about your childhood and also just your upbringing and what your early interactions with music was like?
from a young age, around 3 or 4, I remember like my dad just putting on records of Bob Marley. he was really into reggae. He really into reggae, and also we're from a Christian background. I'm from a Christian background, so in terms of like listening to reggae music or gospel music, that was always on blast every day on a Saturday, especially like when you're just waking up, you're just hearing reggae music blasting. That means it's time to clean. It means it's time to clean. So that's like my first vivid memory. But if anything, church as well. Going every Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And just being exposed to music.
And did you play in church? I know you have a background in drumming. Did you ever?
Yes, I did. I started, I want to say 4 or 5.
Wow.
4 or 5. I just remember after service, I'll just be running towards the drum kit. My mom's like, yo, it's time to go home. What are you doing here? Dragging me. I'm like, no, let me go back. I remember the church drum at the time. He's like, Mum, no, let him stay. Let him just see what it's like here. I thank God he did that, because that's when I think I just had a newfound love for it. And then I got put on the chair, barely touching anything in terms of the toms or the cymbals. I was just pretty much just working my way around the kit. And after that, every Sunday, I'll just run back. My mum was like, you know what? Just let him, we can stay another 5-10 minutes. We'll go back home soon.
And would you say that there's anything like profound that playing the drums and music in church taught you about rhythm and music in general?
Yeah, because we came across so many styles, from like high life, of course, Afrobeats now, gospel, even to like go to like America, like the American songs that we'll bring into the church and play. It's just a wide range of just different styles that you have to learn, because obviously eventually I became the church drummer. So we had rehearsals every Saturday, I believe. And they'll be like, hey, here's 5 songs to learn throughout the whole week. And it's just different genres of music, but still gospel. And you have to memorize that, learn the verses, the choruses, the lyrics, and just merge it all together. And then come Sunday, it's like the big show. And yeah, it was just a blessing to play.
I love to go to a lot of like live music spaces in London. The Ori Jams, the Steam Downs, the Unit 31, 91 Living Room, and like you can just see the instrumentalists playing, and you can tell like who has a background in like playing in church. And something that I found really interesting with you is that like you're so knowledgeable about that space. Like you know NK from Blue Lab Beach,
course,
you know Joey Grant, like you just know of all those musicians. And I was just curious, like, have you ever been a session musician, or like, just how are you so well connected in the kind of instrumentalist community?
Well, first of all, rest in peace, Joey Grant, amazing bassist, person, player, just everything. In terms of being well connected, I think that started from like college and university. Within my university, I went to Westminster in Harrow. That's when I was just exposed to so many great musicians, people that's like in the creative spaces, videographers, photographers, just so many, creators. But in terms of musicians, I studied a commercial music performance course. So basically everyone that's on my course was musicians. So keyboardists, drummers, saxophonists, guitarists, bassists, everybody. So coming from that type of space, you're pretty much well versed within knowing who's who. And then when you go outside of university, people are in those spaces like you mentioned, doing the jam nights, and sometimes you just go like, oh, I know this person, we go to the same university, or you might get invited down, or you start meeting their friends or their family members and stuff like that that also play as well. So yeah, it's just pretty much just networking throughout the years, and obviously playing myself. People know that I'm a drummer, and then eventually leads on to, oh, like, what are you doing this Saturday? Come down to here, or I've got this gig. Do you mind playing or stepping in for me? And then we just go from there. So that's how the community just kind of gets built.
And I love that you spoke about education, especially, and studying commercial music performance at uni. I remember actually seeing a video, Billie Eilish.
Which video?
And her brother. So it wasn't of you.
We've done the research.
But I actually did see like a picture of you drumming there, and I was like,
It wasn't me.
So I saw this video of Billie Eilish and her brother reading and writing music and just showing their understanding of music theory. And a lot of people online were so fascinated that Billie Eilish knew about music theory.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, like, do you think it's important for people who work in the music industry and also artists to have the understanding of music theory?
It's a hard question, because from a young age, around like 7 or 8, I believe I started purposely learning how to read. My mum taught me to music school, and at the time they were just teaching us notation, rudiments, and that was important because in my mind I'm thinking, well, I've pretty much shown my parents that I really want to do this from church, and now it's like I'm going home, I'm playing, making noise on the pots and pans. My bedding is all ripped up because I'm using drumsticks and I'll play on it. So they're like, do you know what, let me take you to a music school. Went to the music school, learned how to read, but in terms of like taking that into my career, if I'm honest, I didn't really have to use it. But I would say it's definitely fundamental to actually have that skill, because if you want to get into theatre, most theatre drummers or musicians read. So there's different, like, I guess, avenues where it is applied. However, I didn't have to use it.
That's very interesting that you said about not having to use it, because I was curious about whether it actually comes into play in your job as a tour manager. But I was also thinking, like, do you ever have moments where, let's say you're working with an artist and, you know, there's a drummer that pulls out or something like that and you have to kind of fill in?
I mean, as for filling as a tour manager, no. Because I mean, double pay sounds nice, but that's part of the reason why I pretty much became one, just to obviously give opportunities to other people, whereas I've networked within the past, or I know someone that knows somebody that can fill in for that type of job. So if it's a case where they have to read, if I know someone that can read, then they're fit for the job. If they're not, sometimes I'll use the drummer's recommendation rather than my own. So it goes hand in hand. But if I do know someone that's fit for the job, I'll definitely give them a call.
Okay, so I asked you to bring a sentimental item with you. Can you talk through the items that you bought?
Yes, so, oh wow. This item is from an event called, at the time, Drummer Life. It's now called the UK Drum Show. So with this, obviously I was a drummer at the time. I was very like heavily influenced by so many drummers from the UK, America, South America. And there was one drummer in particular called Aaron Spears, RIP Aaron Spears as well. Drummer for Ariana Grande, Usher, everyone you can think of, especially heavily influenced in the gospel scene as well. So with this, I remember you had, we call it a clinic, a drum clinic. So that's when drummers come down and showcase obviously their talent, and have like a one-to-one talks with the crowd that's bought tickets to see them. And I managed to get a chance to see him when he was on tour with Usher in 2009, funny enough. Probably no, I think it was after that, but either way, it's here. And he signed it. So having him sign it was pretty much like, I want to do this full time. This is the GOAT that signed this. That's like one of my biggest inspirations. So. And
this other item that you bought as well?
This is funny because I think I mentioned to you earlier before that I have a whole shoebox of like just lanyards from shows, if it's tour passes, if it's, sorry, I'm sure it's the camera. Slip. If it's tour passes, if it's, I don't know, it could be anything, but I have a shoebox or shoe boxes of just full of passes and everything. I didn't want to bring the whole box, that's a bit weird. So I'm like, yeah, I've got this, and just so many tours and just wristbands and stuff like that. But the one thing that stood out was this badge, and this is really telling my age, but back in the day, I used to watch a program called Blue Peter. And I think that was every kid's Grammy Awards, because they were like, no, low key, because it's like, I want a badge. Where can I get this badge? I really want this badge. So to know that I used to grow up watching it religiously, like on, I think BBC One it was, I can't remember. I mean, I had one channel 1 to 6 or 1 to 5, whatever it was. And that used to come on all the time. So I just watch it. People get awarded for all the good works that they've been doing. If it's like through charity work, if it's through just helping other people. And I had, it wasn't a show, but we had a recording with Blue Peter. And Flowerovlove, amazing artists that I work with, we had a chance to perform there. So for me to be there, and they're like, oh, like, thanks for all your help, and here's a badge. I'm like, I wasn't expecting it. But now that I've got one, I can be like, this is my Grammy. You understand? This is my Grammy. So we put on like an amazing performance just to like promote a song at the time, and it's done so well.
So I actually brought a sentimental item with me too. If you could pass that, thank you. So the item that I brought with me is actually
your camera.
And this is one of the first cameras that I bought. I remember like saving money for my 9 to 5 every month to get this camera, and it was like $1,000. And this for me, just a reminder of me investing in my passion. And yeah, I just, it is a very sentimental to me. And anyone watching this, invest in your passion.
Invest in your passion.
Thanks, Yemi. So Eddie, you went from being an instrumentalist to a tour manager. I find it really interesting looking at your trajectory because, you know, you've worked as an A&R, like you've worked as an artist management specialist, like your experience is so varied. I was wondering if you could break down that transition from you being an instrumentalist to you being a tour manager and just how you kind of got to that place.
I've always wanted to be get into management. So my thing was like, okay, how do I still play the drums and tour the world and still look into management and see how it works for me? So it wasn't until like my last year university, I interned at a company called Ferocious Talent. And that's where I kind of found my footing because at first I didn't know what I was doing, I'll be so real. I went to the Ultimate Seminar. I'm not sure if you know the Ultimate Seminar.
NK's dad.
Yes.
Yes.
Big up Kwame.
Create
Vision, yes. Yeah. So I went to the Ultimate Seminar, Create Vision, and I was just inspired because I saw everybody that was there on the panel speaking about their jobs, if they're an A&R, an artist, obviously managers too. So I was like, you know, I'm really, really inspired. I want to talk to these people afterwards and just see where I fit in or where I can actually just intern somewhere. So I remember I took about 20 emails that day, got home and, hey, I'm Eddie, I do this, I do that. Just really selling myself because I'm like, yo, I want to be on this panel one day, hopefully inspiring people and just be in the industry and just manage. So Kwame got back to me and Kwame was like, come to the crib, let's have a conversation. And I was like, wow, out of the 20 to 50 emails I've sent, I think only 2 got back to me, and it was Kwame that was like, no, it was his wife, sorry, that got back to me and said, look, come to the house, let's chop it up, let's talk about this. And yeah, they gave me my first internship. Wow. They gave me my first internship, and that's when I got an insight to how the industry works. My first act that they gave me to look after was Age of Luna. And do you remember them?
Yes, NK's in that group.
He was in that group. And I was looking after them day to day, taking them to shoots, shows, and then that gradually led on to looking after Blue Lab Beats. And I was with them for about, I think, 4 or 5 years. And that transition was pretty much just finding my feet really, because I was their day-to-day manager. I was working with Kwame part-time as well at Believe Records. So that's when the A&R thing came about. I was looking at different acts that they could sign. I was doing project management as well at the time. So for me, and like being in the label, I don't think it was for me, but still working with Blue Lab and the Age of Lunas, it was like, okay, I'm still going into live music and I love live music. I love live music. So to have the best of both of playing and working with a band like Blue Lab Beats was just pretty much, yeah, the fine ground to know this is what I want to do. So after the day-to-day management, I became the tour manager. And I didn't know what that was. I was like, I guess I'm just taking them to Germany, to Paris, to Amsterdam and bringing them back safe. But I was pretty much booking their flights, accommodation, ground transport. And that was pretty much just the character building of a tour manager. So I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time, but eventually that was the role given and one I took forth.
When you were talking about it, it's clear like how you found that path. If you could give advice to anyone who's watching this in terms of like from your experience, like how to kind of find your niche and follow a calling that's coming to you in terms of like finding like your destined path. I
would say don't be afraid to send that email. If you feel like you're bothering someone, bother them again. It's okay to be that person like, yo, hey, it's me, I did that. So I think my main advice is if you feel strong about it, if you believe that this is what you want to do, it's possible. And never limit yourself as to like, well, I just take photos and that's all I do. If you want to now do videography, you can do that too. Just study, learn, network, and believe in yourself. I think that's the most important thing, because without talking to anybody or networking, you're just in your house or wherever you are, isolated, thinking that the opportunity is going to come to you. You have to really go out and get it for yourself. But I will say definitely network, because who you meet can just take you to the next level. Going back to you saying that, how do I transition into being a tour manager? Like I told you, I didn't know I was tour managing Blue Lead Beats, but through that people saw, and I got invited to, I can't remember what it was called, but it was just a networking event, and started networking with people, got some contacts, met so many people in the industry, and I think his name is Akeem, but he used to work with CAA, and CAA is a live agency that looks after just everyone you can think of, from different talents to musicians, models, and he was working with the music side of things at the time. A week or two after networking, he hit me up, was like, yo, my agency is looking for a tour manager for this artist that's coming to the UK or Europe for the first time. Should I link you guys together? And at the time I'm thinking, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, let's do it. And the artist happened to be Young M.A from New York, and yeah, became a tour manager for 2 years. We toured the UK, Europe, but that's what I'm trying to say, just network, make sure your work is out there. Don't be shy of showing what you can do, just believe in yourself, knowing that someone's going to see this and really mess with it and be like, do you know what, I can work with you, and it just goes on from there.
So you have a tour production company called JUICEBOX Live. I was wondering if you could talk about how that started, how you were able to build clients and also a team.
Well, funny enough, I just mentioned the story of Young M.A. So I started the company when I first started working with her, and that was in 2018 or 19. I was doing other stuff before, tour management wise, but it wasn't until then I really wanted to make it a thing and have it like established as to, look, this is me, this is what I'm doing now, and hopefully like more clients will come out of it. But most of the clientele and just the work from that was just word of mouth. I think when people started to see that I was doing this full time and there was no complaints, everyone was happy. Obviously I had to network and reach out like, hey, I'm Eddie, I tour manage, do you need a tour manager for this tour? I used to like sit at home and just go on Instagram, scroll through who's touring within the next year or two and just reach out. So it's important to do your research, because opportunities won't come to you. You have to really just look at them and be like, do you know what? I can do this. If I've done this before, let me put my services in something I believe in. So I used to reach out, and then I think most of the work was obviously reaching out too, but word of mouth. So I had friends within the industry as well that also are musicians, and you can imagine being with musicians from university, college, everyone's pretty much in the industry, like knowing if someone needs a tour manager or production manager, I'll be the person that they'll recommend. So yeah, it's been a bit of both.
And I was wondering if you could talk about some of the technical and financial challenges that you faced.
Why did you smile when you say financial challenges?
No reason. It's just like that you face as a tour manager, and how you've overcome.
First and foremost, financial challenges, if we're going to start there, it's not your normal 9 to 5. You don't expect to have a certain amount of money coming in at the end of the month. So you really have to grow up knowing that, okay, if I don't have this show or this tour, how am I going to make money? But that all comes in the long run. I think you just have to really just tell yourself, this is what I want to do. So you'll be at a loss at first, but the money will eventually come in. But the main challenges is, or I would say, well, anyone that will say that's a creative working in this type of job, just wait for that invoice to be cleared.
Yeah.
That's probably, waiting for that invoice to be cleared, I think that's everyone's struggle with anything. But it's gonna be, it's worthwhile, because you know the work you put in is of course what you're gonna receive back, and then you just take that, invest into another thing, and hopefully that grows as well. That's how I see it. You mentioned another thing as well, if you want to repeat.
Technical challenges.
The technical challenges in terms of what
they're like on the day, if something goes wrong technically, like, has there been an instance where?
Oh, yeah, all the time. So I was gonna say something crazy, because you've walked in today, certain things weren't here. So how do you now adapt to that and now make sure this happens? So I've done many shows where you've advanced it from before, which means you're on the emails talking to the event organizers, the venue manager, staff, whoever that's making the show or making the tour happen. And I've walked into a venue where we've got a live band, we've got a drummer, we've got a drummer, we've got a keyboardist, we've got a guitarist, and they're expecting that I'm the person that said, look, we need X, Y, and Z here. So when we get there, we're comfortable, we're gonna sit down, build our stage together. I've walked into a venue now and there's nothing there. There's no drum kit, there's no bass amp, there's no guitar amp. And those challenges, you don't just like stand like, oh my days, I did this, I did that. Yes, you did it, but what are you gonna do now? So it's always about the now as to thinking on your feet and making those calls and making things happen. So it's like, that type of attitude I think comes from church as well, because everything you've rehearsed beforehand, learning these songs, or we've gone into rehearsal a day before church, that Sunday's not gonna go how it went yesterday, because someone might be off key. The keyboard's now has to find the key and be like, okay, cool. Well, yesterday we did it in E, so why we're in F? But you don't complain, you just do, you understand? So I think that actually kind of adapts from just thinking on your feet and knowing that you are being paid to be the problem fixer, but also the solver of all things.
I love the analogy that you gave about church, because there's a lot of things that have, that could go wrong there. It teaches you a lot, let's just say that. I really wanted to touch on your experience meeting Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
And how that came about, and also if there's anything profound that he said to you that has stuck with you.
To be in the same space as him is just a blessing, first and foremost. But how that came around, I was working with an artist called Nemesis at the time. An amazing artist, check her out. She's from Canada. I think she's touring this year as well, but definitely check her out. And her manager, his dad, I think either used to manage Stevie. Look at me saying Stevie like, that's my guy. Yeah, like S. He used to manage Stevie, or he still does. I can't remember, one of the two. And we were touring in America. We did a few shows in Canada. And he brought him out, or he invited him to the show. He invited Stevie to the show as a surprise for the artist. Because I didn't know myself. Because normally that what's going on, like from equipment, special guests. If there's gonna be, I don't know, a support act. Normally this information is given to you beforehand. So if I had known, I would have prepared. But you can't prepare for that. So when I got to the venue in LA, they were like, oh yeah, Eddie, can you just make sure you've got this section cornered off? We've got Stevie Wonder coming. I said, hold on. Let's bring it back. Who's coming? And that's my go. That's like my, obviously other than Aaron, Stevie's just a musical genius and one of the inspirations that has ever lived. So when I got told that, I didn't know how to act, because I never get starstruck. For me, everyone's the same. I've always said this anyway, you know how I'm like. So when I got told that, I didn't know what to do. I was making sure I swept the floor where he was going to sit down. I've got some water there. If he needs to grab it, I'll even grab it for him. Like, bro, take this, that is me. So I get told, I think 10 minutes before doors are opening, he's on his way. Got him sat down, he was with his security guard, some of his family friends, and he really enjoyed the show. Nemesis is an amazing artist, and after the show, we went to like a small room that they had. It was a very private room. It was just myself, Stevie Wonder, Nemesis, Chaz, the manager, and a few family members, and just hearing him speak, and just telling, obviously he wasn't speaking to me directly, but he was speaking to the artist and just telling her, like, keep going. But the way he says it's so poetic. Yeah, it's just his presence alone. It's just been, it's just amazing to be around. So that's the story of Stevie Wonder.
Love that. And I love to ask this question to anyone I interview. It's kind of like a roundup question. What would you want your legacy to be? What are you building towards? And what are your hopes for the future?
Very good question. In terms of the future, I really want to give back, because I feel like I've been doing this for almost a decade now. And it doesn't feel like I have. It feels like I started yesterday, if anything. But my goal this year is to give back and spread awareness of, if this is something that you want to do or have an interest in, it's possible. So there's something kind of coming up in the works where I'm going into schools and giving talks as to how I started. So thank you for having me on this, of course, to even spread the awareness of it, but definitely giving back to schools and letting them know, or giving a chance that maybe one or two, or even like, if the school will let me, take at least 5-10 people out and join me on the road for one show and just see how it is and just explain to them, look, this is what it's like, or just have that experience and just to be around a working space. Because when I was growing up doing this, there was no like platform that allowed one, for people to even join you on the road, or even to just have the insight as to how a tour manager should work or what they do for a day-to-day thing. So yeah, that's pretty much going to be hopefully happening by the end of this year, where a lot of workshops will take place.
I love that. Eddie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. And I'm really looking forward to see what you do next.